The Hereford Mappa Mundi opens a unique window into the medieval mind. Sarah Arrowsmith, head of schools and family learning at Hereford Cathedral, reveals some of its more surprising features.
There are many images of animals, and many of these go back to the bestiary images. Bestiaries were very popular during the Middle Ages. These were books cataloguing and itemising all the wonderful creatures of the world, but they were based on not zoological or biological concepts that we would understand today. They were based more on moralistic and theological notions. The unicorn, for instance, has an interesting legend. The unicorn was thought to be a very ferocious beast, but when it laid its head in the lap of a maiden, it was instantly tamed, and it became a sort of image for Christ and the Virgin Mary. Another animal that's quite interesting is the elephant. The elephant was thought to be very monogamous. It was a monogamous creature. The pelican has a wonderful legend attached to it that the pelican chicks die, and after 3 days they're raised again by the pelican pecking at their breast and drawing blood, and that was made an allegory of Christ redeeming the world through his own blood. Round the outside of the map, almost as if pushed to the edge of consciousness, things people really weren't quite sure about. There are lots of strange humanoid type creatures. There's a wonderful creature called a blemmy. Blemmy has its eyes and its mouth across its chest. It doesn't have a head. I don't think all the people of the Middle Ages really did believe creatures like this existed. Some medieval manuscripts have moralistic and fairly sceptical comments about them. About the blemmies, for instance, one manuscript says something like, "But do these creatures exist? For sure they do. Why? They are lawyers who have their mouths in their bellies." I think that's quite amusing. I think it shows that the people of the Middle Ages were very, very similar to us. On the map as well, there are a number of sites of biblical stories. Noah's Ark on the map is a wonderful little drawing of what you might think is perhaps a child's toy. There's a boat-shaped feature with a pitched roof, and there are arched windows, and through the windows you can see animals and actually humans on the boat. The boat's hull itself is sort of woven. It's really quite a pretty little picture. But Noah's Ark was pretty significant because after the flood, it was the sons of Noah, Ham, Shem and Japheth, who populated the 3 continents of the world. Noah was also a particularly seminal figure in the history of the world for the Middle Ages. He was the chap to whom God promised he would never again flood the world, and of course he set a rainbow in the sky as a mark of his promise. There are other figures on the map that are important for biblical history as well. Abraham is in the city of Ur, and also Moses. And Moses is receiving the commandments from the hand of God. He kneels at Mount Sinai. He's next to the Red Sea, and the Red Sea features very prominently indeed. It's a sort of orangey red colour. And the Red Sea is in fact parted. There's a gap through it. And this is to show the route of the children of Israel out of Egypt. It leaves Egypt, goes up to the Red Sea, across the Red Sea, through that gap I've just spoken of, and then it forms knots. It's a figure of 8, and it wanders about in the desert where the children of Israel get lost. And eventually it unwinds itself and ends up in the Promised Land. The story of Moses for the people of the Middle Ages was incredibly significant because it wasn't just a literal story. They looked on it as a story that had multiple meanings. For them, it also meant the story of redemption from the sins of this world to salvation in the next world. It also meant resurrection, it also meant baptism. It had multiple meanings.
You can see the Mappa Mundi at Hereford Cathedral. To learn more, visit their website at www.herefordcathedral.org. You can also read a fascinating new article by Sarah Arrowsmith and watch the companion programme, Mappa Mundi, a medieval vision of the world, at the History West Midlands website, www.historywm.com.